Hi, good morning, all. So, okay, because I was having this impression that I'll give a brief intro on clinical trial and data management, and then I'll move to discrepancy management because the most important topic that we are going to discuss today is about the discrepancy management, which is one of the very crucial activity that is being performed within the clinical data management department. So, I had hoped that people were aware of this, but yeah, I guess this is quite a new topic for everyone. So I would give a brief intro on clinical trials, clinical data management, and then we'll move to the discrepancy management. Yeah, before we jump ahead about the clinical research as such, I just want to know if you could define what is research. You must have heard about the term research day in and day out. So everybody must be knowing what do you mean by research. So can you just define it or explain it in your own words?
It's looking for new information.
Yes, looking into new information via.
Uh, Via maybe collecting the facts that already exist.
All right, great. And
And
do you do some new testings, new investigations as well to get new
yes,
facts apart from what
yes,
there are already available, right? So
they
you
are
get a
already there. Yes,
Yeah, so you get a mixture of the old historical facts as well as the new facts, and you come into a new conclusion, right? So
yes,
that is
yes.
what in our language it's called research. So when we talk about clinical research, so there is one term which is being added to the research. So do you have any idea what is clinical research? So, when we talk about research, it is done in each and every industry. Let it be the automobile industry, let it be the media industry, let it be finance. Okay. But when we talk specifically about clinical research, it applies to a hospital setup. It applies to something which is done at a hospital setup or something related to the medicine, right? So, when we define clinical research, it is actually a branch of healthcare science that determines the safety and effectiveness of medications, medical devices, the medical diagnostic products, treatment regimens intended for human use. These may be used for the prevention, treatment, diagnosis, or for relieving symptoms of the disease. Clear? So, what can you give me an example? What is used for prevention in the healthcare science? Prevention of the diseases.
Vaccines.
Absolutely, yes. So, yeah, so these medications, medical devices, medical diagnostic product, and medical treatment regimens intended for human use within a hospital setup or a clinical setup would be coming under the clinical research. The investigations done to make them come into the market for the human use is known as the clinical research. Okay, and one specific type of medical research study is called clinical trial. It may also be called a clinical research study. So there is a very thin line between clinical research and clinical trials, although we actually use them as a similar terms mostly, but there is a thin line. So clinical research would not necessarily be intended towards getting a medication or a treatment out, okay, in the market for the use of human patient. It might also be to get more knowledge, more understanding of certain disease conditions which had been prevailing for a very long time, certain studies. Okay, so these might just be an observations as well. Okay, and they might become a precursor to a further investigation to be done on treatment to help those pain points to be treated. Okay, so pain points is nothing but the unmet medical needs. So when we talk about clinical trial, it will specifically be intended towards treatment investigations to get a treatment or medications out in the market. Okay, any therapies, therapeutics to get them into the market for human use. Okay, so that is a very thin line between the clinical research and clinical trial. And it's a fact that without these studies, without these clinical research studies, advances in healthcare and medical treatments would not have been possible. So it's not just about the advances in healthcare. We have seen in the evolution of human civilization, without any research, without any investigation, nothing actually came into existence. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
just like that, in healthcare and medicine and or the medical sciences as well, without these investigations, we might not have come with the great, treatment for the cancer, vaccinations, and everything which is now present in the market to, either prevent the infection or treat the infection or the disease conditions, right? So that is a fact. And so when we talk about the industry of clinical research, there are stakeholders. Okay, you are going to be one of those stakeholders. Okay, either in any of the department or working in any of the department, or so when we talk about stakeholders in clinical research, patients are always seen at the center. They are always at the core of the clinical research industry. Why? Because it's only for them that these investigational products are being investigated upon to ensure that they are going to treat or they are going to prevent certain disease conditions. Okay, and whatever the activities are being performed during these clinical research studies, they have these well-being and safety of the patients at the core. Okay, so patients are always at the core. All the activities are patient centric in the clinical research. So when we start talking about the stakeholders, first comes the patient, and then the doctors who are actually conducting the clinical research or clinical trials in the clinical or hospital setup, then hospital staffs and nurses who are assisting those doctors who are conducting the clinical trials, who are performing certain assessments and giving their decisions on every pathophysiological developments that the patient is undergoing during the investigation. The pharmaceutical companies become the funders. They are actually coming up with the innovations or the new molecules that can, that their group of scientists will come up with this thing, that this kind of molecule or this entity is going to treat such and such disease condition, and we might just want to have clinical trials conducted on this molecule to get them out in the market. The CRO is nothing but the contract research organization. Okay, so these are actually companies that are getting the contracts to conduct the clinical trial activities from the funders. So these funders mostly would be pharmaceutical companies. So these pharmaceutical companies would be known as the sponsors, and they might outsource or delegate the activities of the clinical trials to these contract research organizations. Okay, then there are clinical research managers or study managers who would be responsible to oversee all the activities of clinical trials, starting from the activities which are being done at the hospital till the activities which are being performed at the setup, statistical team setup or data management team setup. The regulatory bodies and ethical committees are the team of people who would be overseeing whether the regulatory guidelines are being followed during the conduct of any clinical trial or not. So they are the people who would give us the green signal that a certain clinical trial could be conducted or not. If they say that there are certain issues in the clinical trial that you are performing, and they say that you are not allowed to proceed with the further steps in the clinical trial, then the sponsor and CROs are bound to discontinue or bound to terminate the clinical trial. So it's all up to these regulatory bodies and ethical committees on what their judgment is to conduct the clinical trial or not. Then there are accredited lab and lab research scientists who are very integral part of the clinical trial, because 70 to 80% of the data that are being studied in the clinical trial pertains to the lab findings. Okay, so it's imperial or it's very important to have an accredited lab. What do you mean by accredited lab?
labs that have a license from accreditation from a particular organization.
So accreditation is nothing but getting an authorization from a higher body, higher management, or the national regulatory bodies, that such and such lab is authorized to perform such and such test. Okay, they have ample amount of test kits. They have ample amount of qualified research scientists within the lab who are able to get the result, or who are able to perform analysis of the lab samples. Okay, so these are also one of the very important stakeholder within the clinical trial. Anything that goes wrong, if anything goes wrong with these lab results or lab findings, that might actually impact the final the outcome of the clinical trial. So it's very important to have these in a very strict regulatory environment. The lab analysis conducted in a very strict regulatory environment too. Then there are data managers and data associates. Okay, so these are the team of people who are working at the at the organization of either CRO or the pharmaceutical companies, where they are mostly be focusing on uh, the data management activities. Okay, I'll be talking more about the data management activities when we move further, but these people would be mostly focusing on the data management activities of a clinical trial. Then there are statisticians and statistical programmers who would eventually be looking into the final data. Okay, final clinical trial data, and they would be the team of people who would be compiling the final outcome of clinical trial data, like how it is going to be represented in a uniform format to the regulatory bodies, so it becomes easy for the regulatory bodies to go through the final result of the clinical trial, and they give approval for certain investigation and investigational product to come into the market, or to go into the next phase of the clinical trial. Then there are medical writers who would be responsible for writing the case study, clinical study report, and the publications as well related to that particular clinical trial or investigational product. So when we talk about the clinical trial, there are 4 phases of the clinical trial. So before coming to these 4 phases, I just want to briefly talk to you about the phase or the aspect or the rationale that leads to the the starting of the clinical trial phase. So anything that is going to be any investigational product that is going to be injected or administered to a human being, uh, does it need some rationale? Does it need some proof that it is going to be safe for the use in human being? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Of course, yeah. So before coming into the clinical trial phase of any investigational product has to go through certain preclinical phase. Okay, first the research scientists will come up with a molecule in the lab modules. Okay, and then they would decide that they will test these in some animal like rodents or monkeys, and they will have certain data that certain the toxicity level, the maximum dosing level, and everything determined within the animal or the lab modules. Okay, uh, so they get the rationale from those preclinical trials. Okay, they get the rationale, they get some data, and they submit that to the regulatory bodies. So each and every phase is actually regulated. It's the entire research or the entire drug development is being conducted in a very regulated manner, in a very regulated setup. Okay, so why it is conducted in regulated setup, it's because we are very much concerned about the safety and well-being of the human subjects or human participants who are going to participate in the clinical trial, as well as the humans who are going to eventually have those medicines or the treatment when it comes to the market. Okay, So that is the reason why we need to have everything being conducted in a very regulated setup. And during these preclinical trial, whatever the rationale has been, come up, okay, they are being submitted to the regulatory bodies along with the investigational new drug application. Okay, and they will, after submitting these, the regulatory bodies will analyze whether it is good, the investigational product is good enough to be administered to humans in the clinical trial phases. So they give the green signal after preclinical phases, and then the clinical phase of the drug development starts. Okay, so that starts with phase 1, but we also have phase 0 as well. Okay, we will be talking more about these clinical trial phases in very detail when we will start our regular classes, but I'm just giving you a gist. So usually these are phase 1 to 4. Phase 1 would have study participant 20 to 100, and these would be mostly healthy volunteers. Okay, except the clinical trials that have the therapeutic area more related to the cancer. Okay, in that case, we usually have a cancer patient or patient who are particularly suffering from that particular cancer on which the investigation is being conducted on. And that's what. And the length of the study would be few to several months. These are like very, you know, the span of the clinical trial phase 1 would be very less compared to other phases. Okay. And the purpose is only to determine the safety and dosage, that is the maximum tolerable dosage of that particular investigational product. And the statistics from the past clinical trials have shown that approximately 70% of the treatments move to the next phase of the clinical trial. Okay. Then the next phase is phase 2. When we get enough data, when we get enough rationale from phase 1, now we want to administer it to the people or the human participants who are actually suffering from the disease condition on which the investigation is being, done. Okay. So they will have these study participants, and the number would be quite more than what we had in phase 1. These would be up to several hundred people who are suffering from that particular disease condition. Okay, and the length of the study would be several months to up to 2 years. The purpose is to mainly determine the efficacy along with the side effects, or along with determining the safety of the investigational product. Okay, so here, when we were talking about phase 1, there was no determination of efficacy at that time. We were mostly focusing on the safety and the maximum tolerable doses of any treatment or any investigational product. But in phase 2, now our motto or our agenda has increased towards efficacy, because we also want to treat, because the main motive for investigation is to get a treatment out in the market. It should be efficacious enough to treat the disease condition, right? So now the purpose would increase towards determining the efficacy as well, but the determination of the safety would always be at the core at each and every step of the clinical trial. And statistics have proved that approximately 33% of the drugs move to the next phase. The next phase is phase 3 of the clinical trial, wherein the participant number would increase slightly more than what we had in phase 2. Now, this is a very complex phase of the clinical trial, and they will have all kinds of, the clinical or the medical team will brainstorm what kind of clinical trial design would actually help us determine or confirm the efficacy of the investigational product from the rationale what we had from phase 2. Okay, so these will be very complex clinical trial phase. Okay, and they will have very huge number of the trial participant as well who have the disease condition. And the length of the study would even actually spans from 1 to 2 years to 4 years, as also depending on how complex the clinical trial is. And the purpose is to determine efficacy and monitoring of the adverse reaction. So monitoring of the adverse reaction is nothing but to determine the safety again. So you see that the safety is at the core of each and every step. Then when we get the rationale from phase 3 and the regulatory bodies are fine and they will give us the green signal that now the investigation can proceed towards phase 4, we move into the phase 4, which is nothing but the it's the marketing, the drug or the investigation product is now come into the market, but they are still in the clinical trial phases. Okay. And because it has come into the market and few doctors are allowed to to prescribe these medicines under clinical trial phase 4, they would give it to several thousand participants. Okay, they can give it to several thousand participants based on their judgment, okay, who have the disease condition or the condition which is being investigated upon. And the purpose now again is to determine the safety and efficacy. Clear? So this is the overall process overview of the clinical trial. Okay, the first step starts with the development of the protocol. So protocol is nothing but a main document which is being developed by the medical writers along with the inputs from the statistical team and the clinical team dedicated to that particular clinical trial. Okay, they will give inputs in the protocol. The protocol will have all the data or all the details regarding the clinical trial design, how many participants are going to participate, okay, how much would be the span of the clinical trial, okay, how long will it be conducted. uh, I mean, overall, every detail of the clinical trial would be given in the protocol. So because of that, the protocol is also known as the blueprint. So blueprint, I'll give you an example. If you are in architecture, you are building, you're going to build a building. Okay, you are going to make a building. So before that, you will have a blueprint, you will have a skeleton. Okay, how you are going to make it, the design, okay, the model, the toy model as well. Okay, so it will have everything related to the building, each and every minute details. Even if it is in the toy model, it will have every minutest detail in that particular toy model, right? So that is actually a blueprint. So when we talk about protocol in clinical trial, it is, you can actually see the entire picture of a clinical trial. How is it going to get conducted, when it will start, when it will initiate. Okay, so that's why we call this protocol as a document which is acting as a blueprint for that particular clinical trial. Every clinical trial will have one protocol. It's necessary to have one protocol approved before we proceed towards further steps, the future processes within the clinical trial. So it gets approved, okay, the protocol gets approved from the regulatory bodies, from the ethical committees, okay, and then they select the investigator. Investigator is nothing but the doctor who is going to conduct the clinical trial at hospitals. Okay, the doctor who is going to select the clinical trial participants based on the eligibility criteria. So even the eligibility criteria to determine whether a patient is eligible to participate in clinical trial is mentioned in the protocol. It's a very crucial part of the protocol. Okay, so investigator is selected, hospital or the site is selected, the approval process takes place. Even ethical committees will come into picture and they will approve whether the doctor is qualified enough to conduct the clinical trial, whether the site is having ample amount of the facilities to conduct the clinical trial or not. Okay, and then they will determine whether the systems are available for capturing of the clinical trial data. Okay, so when we talk about the clinical trial data, it is very, very crucial part of clinical research. Because if we don't have data, okay, we don't have any proof that there was something being done, right? So if, in a very general term, in a very general way, when we say uh, leave aside the clinical trial process in any sector, in any industry, okay, when you want to investigate something, when you do some research, you are digging into some data, either historical data or the current investigational data, right? Current research data. Okay, you do some testing, you do some evaluation, and you get some data. So what is data? Data is actually the proof that something has been done. Okay, something is going to be done. Okay, it is actually acting as a proof. So we need to have this proof. When we talk about clinical trial data, we need to have this proof that that data from the clinical trial, is valuable. It is viable enough to get certain investigational product out into the market, to get the approval from the regulatory bodies. So it's very important to have the systems available to capture the clinical trial data from the clinical trial which is conducted at the hospitals selected. Okay, then they recruit patient as are these they are nothing but the nobody but the clinical trial subjects or the participants who are going to get the investigational product administered. Okay, they will recruit them as per the eligibility criteria laid out in the protocol, and then the actual clinical trial will be initiated by the doctor or the investigator. Okay, they will do certain assessments at the hospital. They will collect certain samples, blood samples, and send it to the lab for assessment, and they get to the result. So along with every data which is being collected or assessed at the hospital along with the lab, those will be entered into that particular systems which is being designed for capturing the clinical trial data. And that data entered would be reviewed and cleaned by the data managers. Okay, we'll be talking about the cleaning activity or the data management activity more. And finally, when we see that there are no issues, then we proceed towards achieving the database lock. The database is nothing but the systems for capturing the clinical trial data. So when the database lock is achieved, the data is being shared with the statistical team. Okay, they will do their final analysis. They will come up with certain graphs. Okay, for the regulatory submissions, they will come up with the tables, figures, and listings. Okay, those tables, figures, and listing pertaining to that particular final data analysis will be going into the clinical study report as well. Okay, in the form of tables, figures, and listing, and they will actually be depicting the result of the clinical trial. Okay, from the proof, the proof is nothing but the clinical trial data. From the proof, they are getting, or they are picturing, they are developing a picture or kind of a movie, we can say. Okay, about the result of the clinical trial, and they are going to present it to the regulatory bodies in the form of clinical study report, along with their graphs, listings, figures. And then finally the regulatory bodies would be approving or not approving based on the result that they are looking into. Okay, and these tables, figures, and listing and clinical study report would also be utilized for publications pertaining to that particular research or pertaining to that particular clinical trial. So publications would be available to everybody. Okay, the research scientists or the lay people as well. Data would be filed and the registration would be obtained finally if everything goes well. Okay, so that is the end point of the clinical trial process. So I'll move towards clinical data management very quickly. We talked about clinical trial, and we talked about clinical trial data which is being generated at the hospital. So when we say clinical data management, it is actually a process in the clinical research, okay, that leads to generation of high quality, reliable, and statistically sound data from clinical trials. Can you give an example of clinical data?
The recordings of the vitals about the subject.
Yeah. So when we say clinical data, it is nothing but the data which is generated from the clinical assessment or the medical assessments being conducted at the hospital. So if you're not talking about research particularly, when we talk about clinical data, it is could be electronic health record. Okay, a lot of patient come in the hospital, they have a lot of data. So those data are nothing but the electronic, nowadays everything is digitized. Even hospitals are having computers in place and software is in place, and they might have data from past 10 years. Okay, the data of the patient who actually visited for the clinical for doctor, who had the doctor's visit in that hospital 10 years back, they might have data for that as well. stored. Okay, those electronic health record or the medical record will also be called as the clinical data. But particularly when we talk about clinical trial data, this is nothing but the data generated from the assessments being done during that clinical trial, for that clinical trial. Okay, so we data managers would be working on that particular clinical trial data which is being generated in the hospital selected. Okay, the field of clinical data management has come about due to demands from both the pharmaceutical industry and regulatory authorities. As the drive to fast track the development of pharmaceutical products continues to accelerate, regulatory entities have responded by requiring quality assurance standards to be met in collecting the data used in drug evaluation process. So previously, they were not emphasizing so much into data management. Okay, but when they saw that whatever the clinical trial data that they are submitting to the regulatory bodies, it's encountering a lot of issues, okay, pertaining to the cleaning activity or whatever, the discrepancy management and everything. Because say statistical team, they would mostly be focusing on their programming and getting the tables, figures and listings generated to be submitted to the regulatory bodies from whatever the data that they have. Okay, they are not going to interact with the hospital or interact with the doctors who are conducting the clinical trials and resolve any kind of issues. So because of that, those kind of issues that were arising, the data management came into picture and it became very crucial part of the clinical trial. Okay, just because clinical trial data is a very crucial part of the clinical research. Okay, so that is the history. I mean, everything was we need to increase the efficacy of any clinical trial, and now there is a more there were like more unmet medical requirements that were present and that were coming up. Like every year we will have certain kind of new disease condition that need to have certain new treatment to come out into the market to treat them. Okay, so because of the evolution that was happening in the healthcare industry and because of the evolution that was happening in the clinical trial industry per se, okay, there was a need to have a dedicated clinical data management team in place for every clinical trial to look after any kind of issues that could be resolved before the data goes to the statistical team for the final analysis and final development of the table, the submission data. Okay, so why is data management critical? Now we already know that it is critical because it provides quality data that is essential for the reliable, reproducible, and dependable statistical analysis. Okay, and the review and approval of new drugs by regulatory agencies is dependent upon a trust that the clinical trial data presented are of sufficient integrity to ensure confidence in the results and conclusions presented by a pharmaceutical company. Clinical data management is key to obtaining that trust. Is the adherence to the quality standards and practices, as well as ensuring that all staffs involved are trained and qualified to perform data management tasks. So everything boils down to what? Quality. Quality of the proof of the clinical trial. Yes or no? Yes. The clinical trial data is the proof that the clinical trial was conducted. But who is going to ensure the quality? Who is going to look into the issues? Who is going to look into the discrepancy and solve them? It is the clinical data management team. So that's why it is going to be very critical to have the clinical data management team working continuously and incessantly in particular clinical trial to make it, to follow certain principles of the data integrity, to follow certain measures to have a quality data at the end for regulatory submissions. Okay, so there are key data management team responsibilities. So it is divided into phases. Okay, so there are particularly 3 phases in the clinical data management department. Particularly, I'm not talking about the clinical trial as such, We are just talking about the data management. So now it is like study build phase, which is very initial phase of the clinical data management activity when the clinical trial has not yet been initiated at the hospital. So that includes planning, designing and development of the data collection tool, which is nothing but the software or the systems to capture data collection data, clinical trial data at hospitals. Okay, the building of the database, programming, user acceptance testing, and having a go live of that particular system. So go live is nothing but being able to produce that particular database or the system to capture clinical trial data at hospital. I mean, we need to have the live data now. We are okay with the system. We have everything in place. Okay, the system is good enough to capture the clinical trial data at the hospital. So that is particularly the go live thing in the study build phase. Then comes the trial execution, when actually the system has gone to the hospital to capture the live data from clinical trial participant. It collects, and we at the backend, the data managers at the backend would be responsible for validating and verifying the data, but with the help of the site as well as the site management team. The site is nothing but the investigator or the doctor's team, and the site management team will include the site, the site manager or the project manager or the clinical research associates. Okay, they will also be involved in verifying whether the clinical trial data, which is being captured in the systems that had gone to the hospital from our organization, is accurate enough. Okay, they follow certain principles of data integrity enough. They have been correctly transcribed from the source document of the doctor's source document to the system or not, whether there was any kind of data entry error. Okay, so they are also involved in verifying those data. Then there is the activity of executing and cleaning that particular clinical trial data, that is the accountability of which lies towards the data managers or the data management team. Then the data would be transferred, which is like when we achieve the database log, it is being transferred to the statistical team for their analysis and for their activity of developing the table figures and listing for submission. Then we just say, when we have actually transferred the data, we say that the data has been delivered successfully. Okay, after transferring the data, the database is locked, and the decommissioning is being done. Data analysis would be done by the statistical plan, and data disclosure towards the in the form of publications and in the form of regulatory submissions. So that is called as the phase of trial closeout. So this is particularly a flow chart as per, when we talk about the flow of the data, when we talk about the fate of the clinical trial data within the data management team. So everything starts with the protocol development. Okay, we will be diving deep into all these processes further in our regular classes. I'll be talking, like, each and every topic is a very, it's a very vast, and I'll be taking maximum of 1 or 2 hours to explain you all of these topics. But at the moment, I'm just showing you the flowchart, how the data is flowing, what is the fate of the clinical trial data. So the protocol is developed for that particular clinical trial. And as per the protocol, the case report form, which is nothing but the data collection tool, is being developed. Okay, either in the form of electronic, which is known as the system or the database, or paper. So paper used to be like a decade ago, like, when the computers were not being utilized so much at the hospitals. So during those days, we used to have paper clinical trials, but nowadays 99% of the clinical trials are being conducted digitally, are being conducted remotely. It is all electronic case report form. So it is being developed, and the accountability lies with the data management team. Okay, and the data management team will also have the data management plan documented, and all of these, and they develop the database as well with the help of programmers. And all of these activities would be during the study build phase, which is also known as the study startup phase. Okay, then when we see that when we have verified, as a data manager, we have verified the database is good enough to go live, to go into the hospital to collect the live or the real clinical trial data from clinical trial participants. They will enter the data into that system. Okay, and there will also be certain external data which is not included in that particular case report form or that particular system. So those external data would also be loaded or transferred to the data management team for their validation, for their cleaning activities. Okay, they will have a quality review. They will also share the data with the clinical or medical team who are highly qualified MD doctors, particularly dedicated for that particular clinical trial. They would be reviewing the data from their point of view. They will assess the pathophysiological developments happening to the clinical trial participants. Okay, they will give certain inputs to the clinical trial data to make it consistent, to make it clean. Okay, and that is also helping us to have a clean database at the end to achieve the successful database log. Okay, and meanwhile there are some medical coding as well being done, and the serious adverse event reconciliation activities are also being performed. Okay, so all of these are happening during the conduct phase of the study, which is nothing but the trial execution phase. Okay, then based on any kind of issues that these teams are finding out in the clinical trial data, they will issue query, and they will share those query to the concerned team to get it resolved. Okay, and finally, when all the queries are being resolved pertaining to external data, pertaining to medical coding, pertaining to any serious adverse event reconciliation or medical review, we just declare that the database is fit to go for the log. So we log the database, we share the data to the statistical team, we extract it, and the statistical team would perform the data analysis. And finally, that particular submission data would be going into the clinical study report as well as publications and regulatory submissions. And that at that time, we will call this as a closeout phase of the clinical trial. So when we talk about discrepancy management, it also implies to data review process. Okay, so what do you mean by discrepancy?
There is some data or information is missing.
Okay.
Some wrong data has been entered.
The difference in the facts obtained that are different, but we expect them to be the same.
Okay. So overall, in a nutshell, what do you understand by all these definitions that you just gave me? It's an issue, right? Issue in the clinical trial data.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any kind of issue, whether it be missing, whether it be mismatched from the source data, whether it is illogical data. Okay, any kind of issue which is there in the clinical trial data, okay, will actually be called as discrepancy in the clinical trial data. So discrepancy in a very general term, it implies to issue in anything. Okay, so when we talk about discrepancy management, the management will include review of the issue, that is finding out the issue and resolving the issue. It will not only be limited to finding out the issue. You are also accountable as a data management team member. You would also be accountable for resolving those issues with enough interactions with the stakeholders who are responsible for, to look into the issue, and they are responsible to answer whether the data is correct or not. Okay. So that is the discrepancy management. So when we talk about discrepancy management, it mostly boils down to what kind of review we as a data managers are performing on the clinical trial data. So that is called as data review. Okay, so data review, when we talk about data review from the regulatory perspective, this ICH-GCP is nothing but a regulatory guideline document. Okay, it talks about all the regulatory guidelines that needs to be followed when we are performing our data management activity, particularly for the discrepancy management also. Okay, so the section 2.10 talks about all clinical trial information. Clinical trial information is nothing but clinical trial data, right? So all clinical trial data should be recorded, handled, and stored in a way that allows its accurate reporting, interpretation, and verification. Okay, and the section 5.1.1 talks about that the sponsor is responsible for all the data that are generated, documented, and reported in compliance with the protocol, in compliance with the regulatory guidelines, which is the good clinical practice guideline, and the applicable regulatory requirements. Okay, so when we talk about this section, the sponsor is responsible. Can you decipher something from this sentence, from this particular para? Why they are talking, why they are saying that the sponsor is eventually responsible? We talked about the sponsor or the pharmaceutical companies at the very beginning when we were talking about the stakeholders in the clinical research. Okay, and we also talked about the fact that the pharmaceutical companies would outsource or delegate their clinical trial or clinical research tasks to the contract research organization. Okay, so the contract research organization would be conducting or would be performing all the activities of the clinical trial, but any issue which is being overseen or which is being missed by the contract research organization, they are not going to be responsible. They got their funds, from the pharmaceutical companies, they got their funds from sponsor. They are like, we are done, we will not do anything, and we are not responsible. So eventually when the data is going to get submitted, and eventually when it comes to making profit, okay, making profit from treatment coming out to the market after the regulatory bodies are giving the approval, it comes to the sponsor, right? When the data is being submitted to the regulatory bodies, all everything would comes to the would come to the sponsor. Okay, sponsor is responsible for whatever the data is getting submitted to the regulatory bodies for that particular molecule to come into the market. Okay, so if there is any issue, the regulatory body can find some issue in the clinical trial that was being conducted, and they find certain issues in the data, the quality, how it was being recorded. Okay, any compliance or non-compliance with the protocol, everything would comes down to the sponsor, and sponsor would be responsible. And any loss from non-approval of the molecule to come into the market, that loss would be faced by the sponsor. That loss would be faced by the pharmaceutical company. So that's why they have clearly mentioned in the guidelines, in the regulatory guidelines, that whatever the activities are being done, whether it is being done by the contract research organization or any third party entity, okay, the ultimate the ultimate accountability lies to the sponsor, because sponsor are going to make either profit or the loss from the clinical trial. And when we talk about the profit and the loss, it's not like few amount of money, it's billions of dollars that they are spending in the clinical trials. Okay, we'll talk about the market size of the clinical trials at the end. So the section 5.1.3 talks about the quality control that should be applied to each stage of data handling to ensure that all data are reliable and have been processed correctly. Okay, so everything boils down to, when we talk about the regulatory guidelines pertaining to the data review activity, pertaining to discrepancy management within data management, everything boils down to the maintaining the quality of the clinical trial data. The quality should be consistent, the quality should be legible enough to be submitted to the regulatory bodies. If there is no quality in the clinical trial data, the regulatory bodies will assume that there was no quality in the clinical trial that was conducted at the hospital. It was not conducted as per having ethics at the core. So ethics is nothing but being righteous in the way that we are protecting the well-being and safety of the trial participant, as well as the humans that are eventually going to get that investigational product when that investigational product comes into the market. Okay, our ultimate goal when we talk about discrepancy management is to provide complete, accurate, and integrate data that serves as the base to draw correct conclusions about the clinical trial. Okay, no matter how much care is taken into collecting and entering data at the site, discrepancies and data errors will invariably find their way into clinical database. So clinical database is the system where all the clinical trial data is being captured. Okay, they are just saying that no matter how much of care care is being taken into collecting, transcribing the data from the source to the system, Okay, but these kind of issues, there are like one or two issues will always be there, and it is the data management team's responsibility to avoid or to resolve those kind of issues. So in certain instances, those issues might just go as irresolvable. Okay, I'll give you an example. For example, a trial which was, a cancer trial, okay, an oncology trial, which had, a site or hospital at China, especially the city of Wuhan. Okay, and in the year 2019 December, the trial was still in the conduct phase. Okay, but what happened was the site were closed. Okay, the patients were, or the trial participants were not allowed to come for the clinical visits. So what happened? The issues that were pertaining to that particular site at the city of Wuhan, or that particular clinical trial participants who were not allowed to come into the hospital for the clinical visit, what happens to those issues? They will go irresolvable, right? Yes or no? Yeah. So in those instances, when the sites are closed, or those instances when the patient is not able to come for the clinical visit, the issues might just go irresolvable. But then we as a data manager have to focus whether the irresolvable data is critical for the clinical trial or not. If it is critical, we have to somehow get it resolved. Okay, we have to somehow come into an agreement with the statistical team from the clinical team, or whether it is going to have a big impact or the small impact in the final clinical trial data analysis for the submission. Okay, if it is non-critical, we can always have it, documented as irresolvable, and it is not going to have any impact in the final analysis. The vast majority of these data inconsistency and errors can be alleviated with careful data review and data cleaning. So you as a data managers, you as a data management team member, right? So I was talking about the purpose of data review and discrepancy management. Do you have any question in that? Because I think I was clear enough to describe that. Even if the screen was not visible, I was able to describe the entire process overflow and what is all about the discrepancy management. Do you have any question in that?
No queries, no queries.
No queries, right? So the ultimate goal of discrepancy management is to provide the complete, accurate, and integrate clinical trial data that serves as the base to draw correct conclusions. No matter how much care is taken into collecting and entering data, discrepancies and data errors will invariably find their way into a clinical database. Okay. So we had also discussed about the example. Okay. So the vast majority of these data inconsistency or the discrepancies can be alleviated or avoided with careful data review and data cleaning. So the accountability of having a complete, accurate, and integrate clinical trial data lies towards whom? Clinical data management? Yeah, sponsor, but having, but even if the ultimate responsibility lies to the sponsor, that's like our main topic as per the, the regulatory guidelines. Okay, every issue, whatever the issue, whether it be the issue from the site, whether it be issue from the, the statistical team or the medical writer, everything lies towards sponsor. But delivering an accurate, complete, and integrate clinical trial data to the statistical team for final analysis and submission, to whom that accountability lies to? The
To
data
the data
management team,
management
right?
team.
Data
Yes.
managers.
Yeah. So you are going to work on these clinical trial data, and you are going to find out and resolve such discrepancies in order to have the complete, accurate, and integrate clinical trial data. Okay. So the data, the sources of data are, everywhere. The clinical trial data comes from the, data collection instrument or the systems for capturing the clinical trial data at hospitals or site. The data would also come from the lab, which are assessing the, the lab results. Okay. The data would also come from the safety team, who are assessing the serious adverse event and adverse event. The data would also come from the third party data, or the, electronic diary or the remote devices which are being implemented in the clinical trial data to get certain qualifiers, okay, to get certain data pertaining to the overall quality of health of the patient, okay, along with whatever the assessments, the technical assessments which are being done at the hospital. We are also concerned about the overall quality of health, okay, quality of life of the patients or participants who are getting investigational product administered to them. For example, I will say, if a chemotherapy is given to a cancer patient, do you think the overall quality of life would also be improving for that patient? No, right? I mean,
Yes.
No, no, no.
yeah, chemotherapy and radiotherapy are known to act in unhealthy cells or tissues as well as the healthy cells and tissues. All of us know that, right? So even if the tumors are getting decreased in number or shrinking in size from the chemotherapy and radiotherapy, we see that the overall quality of life is not improving for that patient, right? So we need to, if we want to implement certain, or if you want to investigate certain treatment for that particular cancer, for example, the immunotherapy, these days the immunotherapies are on the rise to treat the cancer, because immunotherapy is known to act only on the unhealthy tissues and sparing the healthy tissues. So it's much more efficacious, or much more advantageous over chemotherapy and radiotherapy. So when we want to investigate certain treatment for certain disease condition, we want also to analyze or assess the overall quality of life, okay, how much of improvement in health, because the World Health Organization has actually defined health, okay, by not just absence of the disease condition. It is also the overall health condition, overall, could be psychological, could be physiological as well, okay, the overall improvement of the quality of life of the patient. Okay, so that data we are getting from the remote devices or the e-diary, or we also called as electronical clinical outcome assessment devices. Okay, so that particular source is also giving us the data to come to a final conclusion that this particular clinical trial or this particular investigation is finally going to have a proof that the investigational product is going to have a favorable result when finally it would be given to the human subjects. Okay, so these are the sources of the clinical trial data, and you as a data manager have to work, okay, on these data which is coming from the various sources, okay, and to make it a complete, accurate, and integrate for the final submissions and final analysis. So when we talk about the discrepancy, it is also called as error or any kind of issue. So what kind of issues can we face as a data management team? They can be systemic error. Okay, the systemic error could be protocol deviation. Okay, so the protocol deviation is nothing but whatever the procedure or the clinical trial design is being laid out in the protocol, the team at the site or hospital would deviate from that particular design, will perform certain assessments which is not as per the design laid out in the protocol. So that is protocol deviation. Could be minor, could be major. Okay, so oral versus axillary temperature recorded is one of the protocol deviations. So the protocol might just tell us like the temperature should be recorded or should be oral, okay, or the blood sample that should be collected should be fasting, and the site will end up getting the non-fasting blood sample. So that is also a deviation from what the protocol says for that particular clinical trial. So that is also an issue. Adverse event reporting, so the error could, or the discrepancy could arise from the reporting, the way the adverse events are being reported. Okay, so these are like very common. Okay, how the adverse events are being reported, we'll be discussing in very detail about adverse event reporting and how they are being coded and everything about adverse event in our regular classes. Then the systemic error or the systemic discrepancy will also arise from the poor data collection instrument designing. Okay, so it all depends on how we as a data management team would be designing the the data collection instrument that will eventually go to the hospital and collect the clinical trial data. Ambiguous means confusing. So if there are any confusing question, Okay, site will be confused how to collect the clinical trial data or how to enter that particular clinical trial data. That would eventually give rise to discrepancy or the issue for final submission or final analysis. Okay, so we have to avoid these confusing or ambiguous questions when we are designing the data collection instrument. Double negative questions or limited options for closed questions. So in these scenarios, when we are talking about the poor case report form designing or the poor data collection instrument designing, okay, the issue would not be at the site, because site would be, documenting or collecting the data whatever is being asked for that in to be entered into that system. Okay, but the issue lies at the back end. The issue lies in the designing how the case report form or the data collection instrument had been designed. Okay, so these issues might also lead to the systemic discrepancies. Then there are non-systemic discrepancies, which are transcription error. Okay, transcription error could be, how the data is being transcribed by the site from the source to the system. They might be in very hurry because they are not only working in the clinical trial, they are also taking care of other patients coming to the hospital. They have a lot of work to do. They have loads of responsibilities at the hospital. So they cannot just focus on typically, sitting and entering the clinical trial data into the system. So because of that particular thing, because of hurry and all other stuffs going on in the hospital, these transcription discrepancies are very common. And there are other random errors. We'll be talking more about those discrepancies in our regular classes. Okay, so finally, everything boils down to how you as a data management team member would be sticking to the principles of the data integrity for getting this finally approved by the regulatory submission. So the entire data life cycle will be consisting of taking care of the data integrity at the core. It is being driven by the data integrity. Okay, from creation or collection of the clinical trial data, processing it, reviewing and reporting, okay, or retention and archiving even after the database has been locked or after the the investigational product has got an approval from the regulatory bodies. Okay, that also, after that also you have to have certain responsibilities to retain and archive those documents, because at any given point of time, okay, certain investigational product has come into the market after getting approval from the regulatory bodies, but regulatory bodies will not stop being vigilant about the efficacy and the safety, most importantly safety of that particular product that has come into the market newly. Okay, and because of that, we have certain news that FDA has banned these and these drugs. Why those news are coming? Because the regulatory bodies are continuously being vigilant over the safety of the drug. Even when they have approved it to come into the market, they are being vigilant. So when they are being vigilant and they come to know that certain bad side effects have arisen which were not known before during the clinical trials, they might just report it to the sponsor who conducted the clinical trial, and the sponsor might want to go back again and see the data that was long backed log. Okay, like the database lock was achieved 2 years back, and after 2 years back the regulatory approval was achieved and the drug has finally come into the market. But we need to ensure, the data management team need to ensure that the certain clinical trial data is being retained and archived, so that at any given point of time, even after the clinical trial was completed, the regulatory bodies can come back and see if everything was fine, if everything was conducted as per the regulatory guidelines. Okay, everything was conducted as per the compliance. Okay, and then finally after many years they will destroy that particular clinical trial data. So this is the entire data life cycle. Okay, the entire data life cycle will depend on the data integrity principle. Good data integrity practices must be applied across the entire data life cycle. So that was all for the discrepancy management, data management. If you have any question, please shout out. So now we'll be talking about the general why we are choosing the career path. So I'll just put out a question. Okay, what made you to come into this webinar and choose the clinical trial or clinical research as your career path? When we've thought of choosing the clinical research as a career, we are not only looking at, the making use of your education, making use of your qualification of life science. We are also want to come into, a certain path where we will have the surety of job, the surety of growth, whether it be financial, or whether it be your personal growth. Okay, we want to come into that surety. And when we talk about clinical research and clinical trial, it is actually a sector that will never be affected by the recession or any kind of setbacks in the economy. Because why we say that? Because there will always be unmet medical needs around the globe. Okay, we didn't know 4 years back that such situation of SARS-CoV-2 would arise, right? But that had arisen, right? We don't know what new pandemic might arise in the future, and that will lead to very huge economic slowdown or breakdown, we might say. Okay, we want to be stable from the point of view of our finance, from the point of view our personal growth. And this particular market or this particular industry is going to give you that stability. Okay, so they say that the clinical trial market size was estimated at over 42.9 billion US dollar in 2020 end, and is projected to grow at 4.9% of compound annual growth rate between 2021 and 2027. Okay, so we can say we can see in this picture that it's going to be more than 59.6 billion dollar market share in 2027. So you see that there is a lot of opportunity for your professional as well as personal growth. Why we say personal growth? Because everything is, connected. The finance, the economy is connected with your personal life as well. Okay, so and the reason why there is such, huge opportunity or huge growth in the clinical trial market is because of the increasing prevalence of the chronic disease, as well as the new and growing demand of the clinical trials in the developed as well as developing countries in escalating the market growth. Okay, it is also driven by rising number of biologics and demand for contract research organization to conduct the clinical trial. Because we have very few pharmaceutical companies, we have very few big pharmaceutical companies who are operating at the global level. Okay, so they might not have all the sources to work upon the ever increasing demand in the clinical trial processes. Okay, every molecule, one molecule might have 10 clinical trials going on. Okay, or they might have more than 10 clinical trials going on, and every clinical trial will have a funding of billions of dollars. Okay, so pharmaceutical companies, they act as sponsors, they act as funders, and they want to delegate the activities of all these clinical trials to the contract research organization. And because of that, there is a huge demand for CROs to conduct the clinical trial. And because of that, eventually the clinical trial market is going to have a huge growth in the future. Okay, and typically when we talk about Indian clinical trial market size, they say that the market size is expected to reach the $3.5 billion mark, okay, by 2025. It is projected to register a compound annual growth rate of 8.7% over the forecasted period. So when we even say that, there are pharmaceutical companies at the global level. Okay, for example, there is one pharmaceutical company in the US, one pharmaceutical company in the Europe. Okay, but even if they are situated over there, they have the operational unit in the India or in any other developing countries, because the unmet medical needs are more in the developing countries, and we get more more number of participants, more number of disease condition, and eventually more cases to analyze, to evaluate the safety or the adverse side reactions that are coming, that those participants will be coming across. Okay, so that actually gives us, gives the clinical trial industry as a huge pool. India eventually acts as a huge pool of resources in terms of having the clinical trial participant as well as people who are, or team who are going to work in the clinical trial. Okay, and obviously the US and the European people would want to minimize their cost in conducting clinical trials. So if they are focusing towards the operational units that are situated in the developing countries such as India, they make more profit than loss. Okay, they are always evaluating the benefit versus loss from every clinical trial that they are conducting. And we see from this picture that India has got the the maximum number of the drug development plants approved by the FDA. Okay, so I mean there is no dearth of opportunities if you are you are going to choose a career in the clinical trial, and it is typically if it is from India, there is no dearth of opportunities. Like you could get opportunity in the clinical research organization, or you could get opportunities in the sponsors, that is pharmaceutical organization as well. So it's a particular or typical career growth into clinical data management. Okay, you would actually start from being a being a data associate or data validator. Okay, or previous day in the previous era they used to have the paper clinical trials, and that time even the position would start from the data entry operator. But nowadays everything is digitized, so the position is usually the lowest hierarchy would be the data validator, who would be working on cleaning activities of the data. Okay, then you would progress towards being a data manager, or you want to diversify your expertise and go into programming or statistical analysis. If you have that background, you become the lead data manager, moving ahead, and finally moving up towards the senior management position or the head of the data management department. And the as I said, the financial growth would always be good in these clinical overall clinical trial market. And particularly if we talk about clinical data management, the package at the entry level, it starts with the 2 to 3 lakhs, and it might just go up uh, there is no limit. Okay, if you want to become the head of the department or the director or the vice president of the clinical data management department, there is no limit to the financial growth. And in this slide, we see that there are enough of organization. There is a mixture of the sponsor as well as the contract research organizations who are having operational team or the operational offices in the India. So even if they are headquartered in US or Europe, they will always have the operational unit in India who would be operating from India for particular clinical trial. So there are, Sun Pharmaceutical, which is Indian pharmaceuticals. Then we have Dr. Reddy's, which is expanded to US as well, and Lilly, which is headquartered in US but having the operational unit in India as well. And there are Clean Invent, and there are Siro Pharma, and there is Icon, which is CRO. So overall, I would say that there will not be any dearth of opportunities if you jump into or you change your career path from wet lab to the dry lab. Okay, there will not be a dearth of opportunities. You will get a lot of once you gain the knowledge, once you gain a certain amount of expertise, you would you can just grow from here to the higher management team member. So at the end, whether it being stable financially and growing your growing personally. Okay, at the end you have to do something great. Okay, everybody would be like having see, this clinical trial or the clinical research industry is overall seen as a service industry. So when after a day's work, when you go back home, okay, you sleep off, you want to be satisfied that you did something good today. Okay, so that is the main thing that is at the core of whatever the activities you are doing in the clinical trials. You are into service industry, just like doctors are doing the services to the society. If you come into clinical research career, you are also into the service industry, and you are you are giving something good to the society. So that should be at the core. Okay.